Hello and welcome. In today's explainer, we're going to unpack a really fascinating 1990 lecture called The Royal Road of Life. We're going to look directly at the specific conditions required to become a true leader. And honestly, whether you're guiding a small team, running a massive organization, or just looking to elevate your own personal development, the insights from this source material are incredibly profound. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be comparing what it means to rule by fear versus leading through virtue. We'll cover the crossroads of royal and domination, dive into dignity and wisdom, tackle trust and judgment, look at the power to act, and finally wrap up with love and what it takes to be a true leader. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the crossroads of royal and domination. Now, every aspiring leader faces a fundamental choice in exactly how they're going to wield their power. It's a choice between Odo, which is the virtue-driven royal road, and Haru, the path of domination. The speaker points out something super interesting here. You can be highly intelligent, incredibly talented, and yet still fall right into the trap of Haru. This path relies on brute force, raw intellect, and manipulating people through fear. And sure, it might bring you really quick, visible results. You might even reach the very top of the corporate ladder. But as the source material strictly warns, this path is ultimately a massive trap. And history actually shows us exactly why that trap is so dangerous. Think about historical heavyweights like the Japanese warlord Oda Nobunaga or the Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huang. I mean, these were leaders of undeniable brilliance who rapidly consolidated huge amounts of power. But because they ruled through terror and completely lacked basic courtesy and respect for human dignity, their empires violently collapsed. The major takeaway here? An empire built on fear has a very, very short expiration date. So the big question is, how do we avoid that rapid collapse? Well, the lecture introduces 5 specific virtues as the essential stepping stones to achieve the royal road. These are Rei, Qi, Shin, Gi, and Yu. A true leader absolutely must strive to acquire these traits to build something sustainable. Which brings us to section 2, dignity and wisdom, or Rei and Qi. Okay, so a somewhat surprising foundational requirement for leadership is Ri. This is often translated as courtesy, but you're kind of missing the point if you just think of it as good manners. Ri is actually about deep moral character. It's the dignity of your soul. It means treating people, especially those above you, with genuine respect and not acting in a way that you'd be ashamed of behind closed doors. The speaker notes that over a 20 or 30-year career, this refined courtesy acts as literal protective armor against the turbulence and political storms of the real world. Moving on to the second virtue, we have Chai. Now again, this isn't just about having a high IQ or being able to memorize a bunch of facts. Chai is intellect that has been elevated through actual, lived experience into profound wisdom. It's the ability to really see the delicate, subtle workings of the human heart, and then use that understanding to guide a diverse group of people smoothly. The lecture frames this wisdom as the ultimate tool for navigating our complex, highly information-driven societies. Because without this level of creative problem-solving and deep human insight, a leader simply cannot steer an organization through the chaos of modern times. You absolutely have to be able to synthesize all that raw information into actual, practical wisdom. Let's move to section 3, trust and judgment, or Shin and Gen. These next 2 virtues deal heavily with your interpersonal dynamics. And let's get real for a second and ask a pretty tough question. Are you truly trusted by your peers? Do your bosses, your colleagues, your subordinates, do they genuinely believe in you? Because trust, or Shin, isn't something you can just demand from a team. It is earned through a consistent track record of fair, selfless action. And here is the harsh consequence of a lack of trust. The lecture warns that when a leader loses the genuine trust of the people, their authority simply crumbles. And what do they do to maintain control? They start hiding facts, they manipulate information, they resort to fear politics. True trust means people will willingly follow your lead, specifically because they know your intentions are pure. That need for a pure moral compass leads us perfectly into the 4th virtue, Gi, or judgment. Gi is the rational power to discern right from wrong. And it's really important to note, this isn't about calculating what's profitable or beneficial to you personally. It's the ability to look at a complex situation and decide what is fundamentally correct, based on universal principles. Now, you might be thinking, hey, if I have the wisdom of Qi, don't I automatically have the judgment of Qi? Well, not necessarily. A leader might possess vast knowledge. They might literally have all the facts and data in front of them. But without the decisiveness of moral judgment, they're going to become paralyzed by overthinking. They'll freeze up in critical moments. And that indecision, that can easily lead an entire organization right off a cliff.
Okay, Section 4, the power to act.
Yo!
Yut is courage, and it acts as the physical catalyst for all the other virtues we've discussed so far. It's the practical power, the sheer bravery, and the execution required to actually put righteous decisions into action. The speaker makes a really powerful point here. You can sit in a boardroom, analyze the data perfectly, and know exactly what the right thing to do is, but if you lack the bravery to execute those decisions in the real world, you are going to accomplish absolutely nothing. Action is paramount. To illustrate this, the speaker highlights historical figures like Joan of Arc, showing that true courage isn't bound by gender or background. The lecture specifically notes that while anyone can struggle with indecision, figures like Joan of Arc demonstrate an unparalleled, world-changing courage. It proves that the practical application of bravery is what truly inspires people to rally behind a cause. And finally, Section 5, Love and True Leader. But wait! Mastering those 5 virtues isn't actually the finish line. The speaker neutrally but firmly presents a core thesis here. Without selfless, giving love at the very foundation, every single one of those virtues becomes a dangerous tool for selfish ambition. Courtesy just becomes an empty, manipulative formality. Wisdom becomes a tool used to outsmart or harm others. Trust is weaponized to exploit people. And courage, it becomes nothing more than a vanity project to build your own fame. Every single action must be rooted in the genuine desire to make others happy. It really helps to think of leadership as a giant tree. Love is the hidden, unselfish root system that nourishes the entire organism. The 5 virtues, courtesy, wisdom, trust, judgment, and courage, they make up the strong trunk. And when that tree is healthy and grounded in love, it naturally produces fruit. That fruit is called toku. Toku is this earned, radiant charisma. It's the undeniable aura of true leadership. So the path looks exactly like this. Step 1 is starting with unselfish love. Step 2 is practicing the 5 virtues, using that love as your unwavering foundation. The speaker does note that mastering all 5 is incredibly difficult. Most people naturally lean toward just 1 or 2. But if you can master at least 3 through sheer effort and love, you reach step 3, achieving true virtue, or taku. You aren't born with this. It is something you have to forge through dedicated effort. Now, just to give you the full context of the source material, the lecture actually frames this entire pursuit within a broader religious and spiritual context. It imparts that mastering these traits is an eternal spiritual journey. It's described as an evolution toward divine resemblance across higher dimensions. So the text presents the development of these leadership qualities as fulfilling a massive cosmic purpose, a way to elevate the soul itself. Which leaves us with the ultimate question today. Will you choose to walk the royal road, firmly rooted in love and virtue? Or will you fall into the trap of the path of domination, relying on fear and raw intellect alone? The tools for true leadership are right in front of you. The choice of exactly how you're going to build your legacy is entirely yours. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.